It's the final race of the weekend here at Oulton Park, and the Ginetta GT Academy drivers have the privilege of closing the show for this British GT Bank Holiday Bonanza. And in what has been a fascinating day of racing with mixed weather conditions throughout the afternoons, we've seen already the Ginetta Juniors and the Pro Tire Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship drivers out there facing the damp circuit. And now it's the turn of the GT Academy brigade. However, conditions have been improving substantially over the last hour or so. It hasn't rained for a while. The ambient temperature is certainly not as low as it often is on a bank holiday Monday, and so it's a largely dry circuit with damp patches, which greets the drivers ahead of their third race of the weekend and their second of the day. If you missed the first two races, well, you missed two very entertaining races, that's for sure. Saturday afternoon, you missed a victory for Jamie Caudle as he was chased home by Charlie Digby and the rookie class winner Shiv Sapra. And earlier on today, James Nicholas managed to return to winning ways. Only his second win of the season, for many the pre-season favourite, I think. And he led home an E3 Sport 1-2 with Jamie Caudle, his teammate and championship leader, finishing second, and Charlie Digby once again on the podium. So two interesting races. In the wet earlier on, James Nicholas really did look like he... sorry, it wasn't actually a wet race, was it? It was a dry race for the Academy. He looked like the man to beat, as he was in qualifying on Saturday morning. He was fastest in qualifying, had to start from the third row of the grid because of a penalty hanging over him from Silverstone, but give him some good track position, and we know he is a quick peddler, especially around here in Oulton Park, where he won on debut a year ago. Championship-wise then, before dropped scores, Jamie Caudle now only 26 points clear of James Nicholas, who moves himself up ahead of Charlie Digby now for second place in the championship. But once those drop scores are calculated, it will tighten up ever further. There are 4 results to be dropped in GT Academy, unlike 2 in juniors and GT Championship, so that really does mix things up as we get through into the second half of the season. In the rookie class, Sam Shrimpton still leads the way, 37 points clear, although Sam hasn't won a race in the rookie class yet this weekend. He was on Saturday a non-finisher, and then earlier on today managed second position, chased Joe Edge hard throughout the race, but sort of faded in the closing minutes. Joe was able therefore to hang on to a reasonably comfortable rookie class win in that first race of the day, and that was Joe's first class win of the season, and it puts him second in the championship now in the rookies, ahead of Damien Duffy. So cars released onto their green flag lap, and we get a proper look now at the conditions. It is, as I said, largely dry. And these cars, remember, run on a road tyre anyway. So unlike in particularly the Ginetta GTs earlier on, where we had a bit of a discrepancy on tyre choices between a slick and a wet, we don't have to worry about that in GT Academy. They're all on the same Pirelli road tyres. So it's just a straight race as over 20 minutes with James Nicholas starting from pole and Jamie Caudle, his teammate, alongside him. Charlie Digby and Alex Deaton will share the second row of the grid, and then the rookie class pole sitter and the winner earlier on today, Joe Edge, starts alongside the rookie championship leader, Sam Shrimpton. Peter Thompson and Alan Wright are next. Alan showed some decent pace earlier on in the day. We'll be hoping to build on that now in race 3. Louis Darling picked up a penalty earlier on. He starts 9th ahead of Lucy Hodgson. Then it's Damien Duffy, who lost that second place in the rookie championship earlier on this morning. He's got Chris Babington for company on row 6. Row 7 is Phil McGarty alongside Paul Livesey. And Shiv Sapra, one to watch from the back of the field. Shiv Sapra was a non-starter earlier on today, but looks as though he's there at the back of the grid. The number 8 car, the red and black car, I just caught a glimpse of. So Shiv Sapra will be taking the start this time. I don't know why he didn't start race 2, but unfortunately that non-start means that he has to start this one from the back, because the grid for race 3 is based upon your finishing positions from race 2. We're on board then with Louis Darling, number 25 there. He's been carrying an onboard camera all weekend and has given us some brilliant driver's eye views of the battles out on circuit. Lucy Hodgson likewise will start alongside Louis actually on the 5th row of the grid. So they are your 2 camera cars, the white and blue number 25, and then the car with the green highlights Lucy Hodgson, and just ahead of them is Alan Wright carrying the 3rd on board. His is the sort of bronze-coloured number 77 car. Alan battling with Peter Thompson for Chairman's Cup honours, although actually it was Alex Deaton who once again won the Chairman's Cup earlier on today. Chairman's Cup for drivers over the age of 45, and as we've seen with Deaton in particular, still very capable of fighting for overall podium places. So I don't believe they're being given a second green flag lap. I think this is just a single lap around to a 2x2 rolling start. And when the cars emerge from Lodge Corner, we'll go racing for 20 minutes for the final time this weekend here under leaden skies, which for the time being at least are not spilling any moisture upon the circuit. And what sort of entertainment does race 3 have in store for us? Jamie Caudle and James Nicholas will both know the significance of getting into Old Hall Corner first. They both have a race win under their belts this weekend, and they both won that race from pole position, having led every lap. So they both know that whoever comes out of Old Hall Corner with the race lead on lap 1 has a very good chance of coming across the line at the end of 20 minutes to claim a race victory. So safety car will pull into the pit lane, and we are ready to race for a final time here at Oulton Park. It is race number 3 of the weekend, round number 8 of the championship for the Ginetta GT Academy. James Nicholas and Jamie Caudle share the front row. Red lights go out, and away they go. And who is going to make the first move? Well, it may well be Charlie Digby. Look to the inside of both front row starters. He's going for the lead into Old Hall Corner. Gets pinched towards the apex, though, and Nicholas exits turn 1 with the advantage. Digby still trying to get ahead of Caudle for second. Something I think he might have been able to do as they race down the avenue. Yes, he has. So Digby second, and has another little nibble at James Nicholas, actually, into Cascades. For the second corner in a row, though, has to bail out of the move. So, good start from Digby on his toes and moves up into second position. And he's now challenging for the race lead. Look, is there a gap to the inside? No, not quite. James Nicholas keeps the MDD car behind him, but Charlie Digby is looking really confident on cold tyres here and wants to try and wrestle the lead away from James Nicholas at the earliest opportunity. Has to watch his mirrors as well, though. Jamie Caudle is not going to be satisfied with third place, especially from a championship perspective. Remember, 26 points ahead of James Nicholas, but James Nicholas now looks set to outscore him if things stay as they are. I don't think in any of our races this weekend that marker post on the inside of the British chicane has lasted more than a lap, and we've kept that streak going in the Academy third race because one of the leading cars immediately has booted it out of the way. Through come some of the rookies, and a big lunge up the inside that from Peter Thompson. That was for second in the Chairman's Cup, trying to find a way past Alan Wright, who I thought for a moment we'd lost then. He was so wide through the second part of the Hislop chicane, and doesn't get a great exit from Nick and Brook either. So as they race towards Clay Hill for the first time, those two running pretty much nose to tail, in fact absolutely nose to tail. There goes Louis Darling through, and here that Chairman's Cup scrap. It is for second in Chairman's Cup because Alex Deaton leads the way in that class still. But these two have been very evenly matched all season long, really. Continue to be so again this afternoon. Very touchy-feely stuff there between second place man Digby and third place man Caudle. Caudle will be really frustrated because I think he knows that once the race settles down, he's probably going to have a pace advantage over Digby. That certainly has been the case thus far this weekend. The trouble is, Digby is under no obligation to move out of the way. He is perfectly entitled to defend that second place and is defending it nicely for now. 1 second then the lead margin for Nicholas. Digby second, Caudle third, Deaton fourth. So not quite grid order, but it's the same 4 drivers at the front. And interestingly, Sam Shrimpton is ahead of Joe Edge for the lead in the rookie class. So Shrimpton there at the bottom of the screen, the Union flag car, is in 5th place overall and leads in the rookies by some margin actually over Joe Edge. Now, Sam looked quicker than Joe in race 2, but just couldn't quite find a way through. Then made a few mistakes through the second half of the race, which allowed Joe Edge to pull away. But there goes Shrimpton. He's in control of the rookie category for now, and actually closing in slightly on Alex Deaton ahead of him for 4th position. The second place battle heads through the Britain chicane. Not a million miles behind James Nicholas, so that will be further incentivising Caudle to have a go here. He'll want to get through before Nicholas gets too far up the road, and maybe out of reach completely. On board with Louis Darling. 7th position, wants to convert that to 6th, but he's not close enough to do so into the Hislop chicane. Now, is that a little bit of moisture on the windscreen? It could just be dirt, really, from or that's been kicked up from the circuit. Often get that when you're driving down the motorway, don't you, in sort of greasy conditions. Dirt gets flicked up from the cars in front, and you go through a whole tank of windscreen washer sometimes on a long drive. Well, they don't have that luxury in these cars, and they'll just have to deal with a slightly grimy windscreen, and the last thing you want to do is flick the windscreen wiper on because it just smears it across the screen and then you can't see a thing. At the moment, Jamie Caudle can't really see anything past the back of the number 14 Ginetta ahead of him. He's so close behind Charlie Digby. Didn't quite have enough of an overlap into Lodge Corner, but gets a good run off the turn and forces Digby to defend into Old Hall Corner. Now, if you go in tight here, you're normally quite slow on the exit. Can Caudle capitalise on that and make something happen down the avenue? The answer appears to be no. So Charlie Digby positioned the car well. I noticed actually on the previous lap he went in very tight at Old Hall Corner and still was quite quick off the turn. And the same is true this time around. By defending, he is now losing time to the leader. Windscreen wipers on, and yes, there's a bit of rain maybe starting to fall on the pit straight as well. Now, like I said, they won't need to worry about changing tyres. They're on this Pirelli road tyre, but if the conditions start to deteriorate, then the lead cars, of course, are the first ones to discover just how slippery it is. So it's not affecting this end of the circuit quite as much as it is where the cars are now. And look, James Nicholas, as the leader, just doesn't have the confidence to push. So as the further back in the queue you are, the more confidence you can carry into what potentially is going to be a wet bit of racetrack. James Nicholas, as the first one on the scene, is having to drive within himself so as to avoid skating off the road. Down the hill we go. We're on board with Darling. Maybe it was rain then that was starting to collect on his windscreen. A huge lock-up from Louis, and he goes straight down the escape road at the Hislop chicane. Did very well, in fairness, not to clatter into the back of Joe Edge's car, which he rejoined just behind again. They crest the hill through towards Druids, and whilst there is a bit of moisture in the air here at the start-finish area, it's not really properly raining yet, so the weather coming in from the other end of the track this time, which is strange actually, because in earlier races it was this final sector that got the wettest the quickest. It is drizzling a little, but it's properly raining elsewhere. A mistake there for Digby. He's wide at Lodge, and that maybe does tell me that it's a little bit more slippery than I thought it would be at Lodge Corner. And Charlie Digby hangs second place to Jamie Caudle. Well, that was an absolute gift for the championship leader, who will now set off after James Nicholas, who we know is a little bit tentative in these conditions. We saw that on the previous lap. There's your rookie leader, Sam Shrimpton. These are incredibly difficult conditions for a rookie to be racing in, and he is a complete novice. This is his first ever season of car racing. And he's not the only one in that rookie class for whom that is the case, of course, but Shrimpton really is very fresh at this, probably hasn't done a lot of driving in these changeable conditions before, and will be desperately trying to just keep the thing on the track and not make a mistake that will cost him a class win. Same, of course, is true for James Nicholas, who leads the field through Shell. He, Caudle and Digby somewhere ahead, look, of Deaton in fourth. And here, side by side for the lead in the rookie category. So Shrimpton, perhaps being delayed slightly by Deaton, has got Joe Edge right behind him, in fact was alongside him, into Shell. The move didn't work on that occasion for Joe, but the rookie winner from race 2 wants to try and double up here on Bank Holiday Monday. So that car there, Sam Shrimpton leads the class, and that is the overall race leader. He's off at Hislop. James Nicholas goes straight on. He'll weave his way through the makeshift chicane and rejoin, still in the lead of the race. So, well, he's taken the penalty, so to speak, which is having to slow down and weave between the plastic barriers. I don't think he'll get a penalty for that. Off has gone Paul Livesey. The car not going anywhere for the time being. But, yeah, drama for Nicholas then, and that is why he's been driving tentatively in these conditions, because he must feel that the car is on an absolute knife edge. So this is now going to become a battle of survival, isn't it? We're a third of the way through. They won't stop the race unless it gets really waterlogged, because, like I said, they're on the right tyres for any conditions in theory. Big lock-up again there for Deaton, so it seems to be the front brakes that are snatching. Front tyres that are snatching the most. We've seen 2 or 3 drivers locking up now and running wide. That, of course, is where Digby locked up a lap ago and lost second position. So on the previous lap, Jamie Caudle was 2 tenths quicker than James Nicholas, so James certainly didn't gain anything from shortcutting the chicane, over the course of the lap at least. And he was a tenth slower than Caudle in Sector 2 as well, which is the sector that the Hislop chicane is a part of. On board with Louis Darling. He too, of course, has been down that escape road in this race, but it's not deterred him. He's closed back in on Joe Edge, whose challenge against Sam Shrimpton has faded slightly for now. Joe won't want to let Darling through. They're in different classes, so it won't cost Joe any points, but doesn't want any barriers between himself and Sam Shrimpton ahead. Sam again tucking in behind Alex Deaton. Leads the Chairman's Cup in this race. There are your leaders through Britons. Nicholas is getting away again now. Strong in the first sector, decent middle sector so far, but we're heading towards the part of the circuit where he went off a lap ago. So you would not be surprised to see James Nicholas braking a little bit earlier this time into his lops. Towards the same piece of racetrack comes this battle for 6th position. Joe Edge, Louis Darling. Louis weaving around behind. Not able to commit to a move for now. The rain possibly easing a little bit then. There's no drizzle at my end of the circuit, so it's just really, as has been the case all afternoon, a passing shower. That wind is blowing the weather through quite quickly, so it rains and then it stops, and then it rains and then it stops, but it never seems to rain for a huge amount of time. At no point across the day would I say we've lost the racetrack, in that, I mean, it's never gone from full dry conditions to full wet conditions. It's been fairly soggy at times, but no standing water. And that continues to be the case now. Deaton once again locks up into Lodge exactly as he did a lap ago. That tells me he may have flat spotted that tyre. And Sam Shrimpton is scenting blood in the water now. Gets a good run over Deers Leap. Behind them, Louis Darling. Look, is he up the inside of Joe Edge? No, Joe crowds him over to the middle of the road. And will continue to run in 6th place for now. Defends into Old Hall Corner. He's therefore a little bit slow on the exit of the turn, so under threat again now towards Cascade, but Darling does not go for the move. Peter Thompson, meanwhile, is under threat from Alan Wright in the background. In fact, sorry, putting pressure on Alan Wright for 8th position and 2nd of the Chairman Cup drivers, so I think Peter might have gone through there. We'll have to double-check that in a moment. How close Sam Shrimpton is to Alex Deaton as we head towards the Shell hairpin. Is there a gap to the inside? No. But Shrimpton will have seen Alex Deaton locking up into Lodge on the last few occasions, and an experienced driver would know that that means that Deaton's probably going to be a little bit weak in the braking zones, because he daren't brake late and hard, because there's a good chance that he'll lock up and go off again. So we'll see whether Shrimpton has gained enough experience in the first 7 races of his career to use that to his advantage. We get a glimpse there of Alan Wright, who is now ahead of Peter Thompson, or still, sorry, ahead of Peter Thompson, I should say. So Thompson not able to get through just yet into 8th position. Louis Darling trying to outfox the Joe Edge machine, and this for 2nd position is also getting pretty close. So James Nicholas, weathering that storm, so to speak, is now starting to creep ahead again. The lead gap up to nearly 2.5 seconds. It's becoming a job to know which of these 2-car battles to watch, isn't it? We've got one for 2nd there, Jamie Caudle and Charlie Digby. Then you've got Deaton and Shrimpton nose to tail for 4th, Edge and Darling for 6th, and Wright and Thompson for 8th. There they are, look, these 3 duos battling away through Lodge Corner. So Deaton then 4th place. Defending nicely. Well, actually, that's sort of the point. Not really defending just yet. Whereas Joe Edge, look, is holding a tighter line into Old Hall Corner. Alex Deaton is just serenely continuing on his way, running his own lines, not overly defending into the corner, and therefore not compromising his exit speeds too much. Ooh, Shrimpton with a much earlier turn in there into Cascades. That looked like an overtake attempt, but I actually don't think it was. It's one of those corners, Cascades, where you can attack it in a couple of different ways. By turning in early, you guarantee that you get the benefit of the camber earlier. It's quite a cambered corner through the middle part of it anyway. By turning in later, though, in theory, you can carry a bit more speed down the Lakeside Straight. They came out of it pretty equally, though. Down through Shell, up towards Britain's. Louis Darling and Joe Edge, I'd say, are creeping back up to those two now. That's significant in that Edge is fighting Shrimpton for the rookie class lead. Jamie Caudle here then with Charlie Digby in his wheel track. 2nd place they battle over. Significant for the championship because Digby is 3rd in the points. Caudle the championship leader, so Caudle won't want to lose any more points to James Nicholas, the race leader, but he doesn't really want to let Digby get back into this either. Digby's only 10 points further adrift of Nicholas at the moment. Before, as I said, those pesky drop scores get added in a little bit later in the season. Underneath the bridge at Clay Hill then, towards the left-hand kink there at Water Tower. And then they turn through the double apex right-hander at Druids Corner. We're on board with Alan Wright. We've got a grandstand view of Louis Darling and Joe Edge's scrap for 6th. And as they turn now up across the timing line again, Sam Shrimpton makes a move to the inside line. Deaton's turning in and there's contact. Around goes Deaton. And Joe Edge loses it as well. Clatters into Darling and Alan Wright. They've all come together at Lodge Corner. And that is such a shame. Such an innocuous bit of contact. And it's caused absolute carnage at Lodge Corner. Joe Edge continues. I think they might all get going again, but with varying degrees of damage. Edge is heading for the pit lane. Oh, what a shame. That was a terrific battle between all 6 of them, really, and well, a number of them out of the race as a result. And Joe Edge, perhaps most significantly from a championship point of view, is definitely one of those out of the race. Sam Shrimpton, well, he'll be disappointed as well with that. I think he saw the gap on the inside. Deaton turned in. There is Deaton, only now getting going. I don't know how badly damaged that car is. Is he heading for the pit lane? Yes, he is. So maybe just as a precautionary check. There is Joe Edge's car. Marshall swarming it, as are the team. And Joe Edge's Want to Race squad, who run the majority of the rookie drivers, will see what can be done, but I don't think there's much chance of getting that car back out, certainly not into a meaningful position by the end of the race. Right, that does at least mean we can now focus properly on the fight for second. And what a fight it is, because Charlie Digby is always pushing Jamie Caudle over Clay Hill. We're coming towards now the final quarter of the race, and it is absolutely nose to tail for second position. There is, I can tell you, still a yellow flag at Lodge, so the next corner is not eligible as an overtaking opportunity. Or at least there are yellow flags on the exit. Now I think they've gone in and they've just put the surface flag out to warn the drivers that there is debris on the road. Hopefully that doesn't trip anybody up or cause a puncture. There you can just catch a glimpse of the debris. It's to driver's right, just over the crest of the hill. So this is what happened then. Shrimpton goes to the inside. Deaton sort of turns into Shrimpton's up the curb on the inside. And then Joe Edge, as he turns to the right to avoid the stricken Alex Deaton car, he collects first Louis Darling and then this man, Alan Wright. So you can see the initial contact in the distance. There is Joe Edge trying to avoid, and it's just a really unfortunate situation that none of them could avoid, really. No one did anything wrong at Mark. I mean, we're not, if you ignore the initial contact, but the subsequent mess wasn't really anyone's fault. It was just people trying to avoid Deaton's car, understandably, which was broadside across the middle of the road. So, drama at Lodge. It takes Joe Edge out of the race. He is the only one, though, not circulating, I think. Everybody else is still going. So, that's fortunate. The leaders turn through Britons for the 9th time. There is Sam Shrimpton. So Shrimpton still leads the rookies. He's got, well, according, yes, it is Louis Darling. Louis Darling right behind him. And Shiv Sapra, who we haven't really seen a lot of this weekend. Shiv, who was a winner in the rookie category in the very first race of the season at Donington Park, has not really been much of a factor in this one, or this weekend, but he is running second in class now, albeit some 13 seconds or so adrift of these two. So they head through the Hislop chicane. The second place battle heads to Druids. And they're running out of time now. Charlie Digby really running out of time if he wants to challenge for second, and he's drifted a bit wide there through Druids corner. James Nicholas just continuing serenely on his way though, really, much as he did earlier on today. We'll be very grateful that he left all of these battles behind. Oh, look at the debris being kicked up there through Lodge corner. You've got to be careful. It's a road tyre, so it's maybe a little bit less susceptible to being cut than a racing slick, but you can still do some damage to the tyre. And you don't really want to be running over those shards of bodywork on the road. There's very little they can do, really, when it's strewn right across the racing surface. So the rain has passed through for now. Still 2.5 minutes to go, though, so 2 more laps. Look at the state of Louis Darling's car. The left-hand side of it is not as it came out of the Ginetta factory. And they'll certainly be needing to order some new body parts for that car for the next round of the championship, which isn't for some time, actually, because the Ginettas, sadly, don't come with us to Spa, so British GT will be racing next over in Belgium at the famous Spa-Francorchamps circuit. But the next time we'll see the Ginetta Racing Championships out will be in the middle of July at Snetterton. There are only 3 more events left for Ginetta this year. Snetterton in July, Brands Hatch in August, and it all finishes at Donington Park at the start of October. There is Shiv Sapra, who has got Peter Thompson behind. So Thompson must have been delayed in all of that mess at Lodge Corner as well. So he's dropped behind Shiv, who is the second rookie in the race. Thompson, by the way, now leads in the Chairman's Cup. So Thompson from Alan Wright, I believe it is. Yes, Alan Wright and Lucy Hodgson. They're the top three Chairman's Cup drivers. And Thompson nearly threw that away then with a squirrely moment at Britain's. But yes, with Alex Deaton, of course, being tipped into that spin and ultimately dropping to 13th place, that's handed the Chairman's Cup lead to Peter Thompson. Now, the fastest lap of the race on the previous circuit was set by this man, Jamie Caudle. They're about to start the final lap of the race. He did a 51.270, was about half a second quicker than the leader. He's another 10th quicker that time. The gap is still 1.9 seconds, so I don't think Caudle has got what it takes to close in on James Nicholas, but he'll be rather asking himself the question, where was this pace 10 minutes ago? Because if he was running those sort of lap times halfway through the race, he might just have been able to give James Nicholas a run for his money. He's certainly shaken off Charlie Digby. And so as they head down the Lakeside Straight towards Island Bend, Nicholas, in fairness, responds with a personal best in Sector 1, a 10th and a bit quicker. Oh, that's Shiv Sapra. That's Shiv Sapra from second in the rookies, and he's beached in the gravel at Lodge. So that car's going nowhere. There's no need for a safety car intervention because it's the final lap of the race anyway. They'll just cover that with yellow flags. So no overtaking at Lodge. I don't think that will have an effect on any of our leading positions anyway. But that's a shame for Shiv. Second place in class goes begging, and Alan Wright will now move into second, whilst Damien Duffy, I think, will go third. Unless the marshals can push Shiv Sapra out of the way quickly. They're trudging over into the gravel to see what they can do, and of course that's all being covered under yellows, double waved yellows, as you would expect. So another Lodge corner disaster. That's been the scene of many a driver's demise in this race. I can tell you out of the window, Shiv is out of the car and walking away, so the car's not going to be moved. It will be yellow flags there for the final lap, but it doesn't really matter to James Nicholas, who has in the end had a really solid weekend. He was only 4th yesterday, but that was 3rd in class, so 3rd place points. A dominant win earlier on today. And this one's going to be a fairly comfortable cruise to the checkered flag as well. James Nicholas then is starting to find some form midway through the season. He will claim his 3rd win of the season, his 2nd of the day here at Oulton Park. James Nicholas takes the checkered flag. Jamie Caudle bags some decent points in 2nd. And it's Charlie Digby who comes home in 3rd after a hard-charging race, but just faded a bit in the closing stages. Sam Shrimpton, meanwhile, a slightly battle-scarred number 24 car, will come out of the yellow flag zone that is Lodge corner and head for the line to claim a victory in the rookies category. And for Sam Shrimpton, it's a 4th win of the year in that class, but actually his 1st of the weekend. He claimed a win, 2 wins at Donington, 1 at Silverstone. Didn't finish Saturday's race, of course, here at Oulton. Then was 2nd this morning and now claims a class win. There will be question marks, I'm sure, over that contact with Alex Deaton. Certainly not suggesting it was Sam Shrimpton's fault, but that's for the stewards to decide. I'm sure they will be looking at that at the end of the race because it had an effect not only on Shrimpton and Deaton's races, but quite a lot of other drivers as well. On board here with Lucy Hodgson, by the way. She's on her way to a class podium, that class being the Chairman's Cup. The car ahead of her is Phil McGarty, who is, in fact, has got past her. So actually, no, sorry, McGarty's gone past her for 8th, and that is 3rd of the Chairman's Cup drivers. So that's a shame for Lucy, who'd driven a really good race until that point, picked her way through the drama. Now comes past a little bit of that drama in the shape of Shiv Sapra's car at Lodge and heads for home, but it's only going to be 4th of the Chairman's Cup drivers, I'm afraid, with Phil McGarty having got through on the final lap. James Nicholas, though, he'll be delighted with that win, and he'll be probably fairly unaware of the troubles that befell some of his rivals further back. He'll have seen the scene of destruction that they left behind them at Lodge, but won't necessarily know what caused it. And he'll have to watch the race back, I'm sure he will, later on this evening. So for Nicholas then, as I said, a 3rd win, which matches now the 3 wins of Jamie Caudle. And he'll take another 5 points, 4 points actually out of Caudle, because Caudle had the fastest lap of the race, which is worth a bonus point. So this then is the provisional result for our final race of the day. It is another E3 Sport 1-2, exactly the same result as it was in race 2. James Nicholas winning, Jamie Caudle 2nd, and Charlie Digby coming home in 3rd. Sam Shrimpton claims a rookie class win, his 1st of the weekend, in 4th, ahead of Louis Darling and Peter Thompson. Alan Wright in 7th, Phil McGarty 8th, Lucy Hodgson 9th, and Damien Duffy in 10th. Then it was Alex Deaton 11th. Chris Babington was a lap down. Shiv Sapper, of course, retired in the gravel at Lodge. Paul Livesey pulled into the pit lane to retire, and Joe Edge's race ended in that calamity at Lodge Corner. The rookie win then to Shrimpton, the Chairman's Cup victory to Peter Thompson, but the overall win goes to James Nicholas. So that concludes what has been a thrilling, unpredictable, at times chaotic weekend here at Oulton Park, but we've enjoyed the show, that's for sure, and we're looking forward to having Ginetta's back on the British GT package at Snetterton on the 12th and 13th of July. Before we wrap up though, here at Oulton Park, we'll in a moment have a chance to take a look back at some of the highlights of a dramatic final race, the third race for the Ginetta GT Academy here at Oulton Park, which certainly threw a lot at us and a lot at the drivers as well, many of whom got to the end with cars which were not quite in showroom spec anymore. But they all had stories to tell, that is for sure, not just after that race, but after the weekend on the whole. The third Ginetta GT Academy race of the weekend saw James Nicholas and Jamie Caudle share the front row, but it was Charlie Digby who was looking punchy from the start, tried to get for the lead into Old Hall Corner, had to settle for second in the end ahead of Jamie Caudle, but then threw that away with a lock-up as the rain started to come in and out of the area through the middle part of the race, and that allowed Caudle through. There was a spin for Paul Livesey at Britain's. He would later retire to the pit lane, and then the major drama of the race, Sam Shrimpton put a move on Alex Deaton for fourth. There was contact, and as Deaton spun, Joe Edge swerved to miss him, collected both Louis Darling and Alan Wright, and that caused a lot of damage. Amazingly, only Joe Edge ended up retiring courtesy of that incident, but there were quite a few battle-scarred Ginettas circulating after that. There was then another moment at Lodge, which really was the scene of most of the drama in that race. This time, Shiv Sapra tipping himself out of second place in the rookies class and retiring in the gravel. The rookies were eventually won by Sam Shrimpton, and the overall race was won for the second time today by James Nicholas, his third win of the season, to put himself within touching distance once again of the championship lead as the series next heads to Snetterton in July.